Hey guys, we're live on Jupiter with two moons visible tonight. Uh, I'm kind of getting set up for a real test of this scope. Uh, I I have my camera, my Chinese camera, aligned absolute center on Jupiter. That means that the telescope is perfectly aligned with Jupiter, which means I can use the go-to feature on the scope to go to anything I want to when it's in the sky. My plans currently are, right now it's about 1:09 a.m. Moon is just rising, you can't even see it. But in about 30 minutes or so it'll be visible. Well, there's two other things that I want to try to go to tonight. In the Orion constellation, in the belt of Orion, right below the belt, there's a nebula called M33, which is a spectacular nebula. I have no idea if I can see it, but because I'm perfectly aligned on Jupiter, at some point tonight I'm going to try to go over there when it's higher in the sky. It's right now on the horizon and just peeping up over the horizon. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try later on this evening. This is going to be an all-nighter for Bill, an all-nighter, guys. And I think the technique that I figured out for Jupiter is going to work pretty good because I learned how to align it. Anyhow, later on, earlier in the morning, Mars is going to creep up over the horizon. And so I'm going to try to go to Mars as well with the go-to feature on this telescope. It really does work, and it's really amazing. I'm trying to center this. I have it on sidereal tracking right now. When I go to the moon and do my exploration, I'll change it to lunar tracking. But in any case, you can push the planet button on this remote and say you want to go to the moon, it's going to just zip right over to the moon. You want to go back to Jupiter, just hit the planet button, select Jupiter, it'll zip right back to Jupiter. You want to go to M43, press the M button on here and pick out the 43, and it should just zip right down there. And it won't let you zip to anything that you can't see in the sky. So it's a pretty smart computer. And the same will be said for Mars. When Mars comes up a couple hours from now, I'll be able to just say planet Mars, and it should just zip right down. The trick with all this and a camera is you have to have everything in focus and everything at the right levels. And if you have the contrast too high or the brightness too low, but I figure if I'm on Jupiter, I can see just about anything because I can see the moons of Jupiter. The last time I showed you Jupiter, I had moons on this side and on this side. But right now, these are the only two moons that are visible to us. Which is fine by me. I could bring out the color better, but I decided I want really to see the moons and I want to see Jupiter. And you can still see the spot right there? That's Jupiter's spot. See, that rotates, and depending on how large that spot is, you can tell what the weather's like on Jupiter. and astronomers look at Jupiter regularly to check how big the spot is, and you can, it has a I don't know what the cycle is, but it has a, just like Earth, a 24-hour day. It has a rotation, and you can follow the rotation by watching the spot. I'm looking at this through the camera. I'm not looking at it with the Barlow. Before I pause this, that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to pause debut, and that way I can, when the moon comes up, I can unpause it, and then we can jump down to the moon, and then I can explore the moon as I have vowed to explore the moon every night that I can. And then I'll pause it again, and then later on I'll go over to the M43, and then later on I'll go down to Mars. So it's going to be kind of a tour de force tonight. But I wanted to mention, I know a lot of people are watching these videos that are kind of wannabe astronomers or learning. One of the most difficult things to do with your camera is really align it properly. And I finally figured out the way to do it. And this is my secret. I'll tell you how I did it tonight on Jupiter. What you do is you get Jupiter in that spotter scope, and then you put in your 33 millimeter lens, and you center it on your 33 millimeter optical lens. Then you put your 2 times Barlow connected to your 22 millimeter lens and slip that in and center that. And when you have that centered, then you can hit enter. Then you put your camera in, and you should have, if you centered it right on that, you should have on the screen Jupiter. Then you use the up, down, left, right arrows to center Jupiter on your computer screen, and then you hit the align button, and bammo, Jupiter now is not only aligned with the telescope, but it's aligned with the camera and the screen. And that's exactly what I did. So I know I have a perfect alignment on Jupiter tonight. So I think I'll be able to find M43, the moon, and Mars just by pushing some buttons on the go-to. Okay, I'm going to put this on pause, and we're going to start an odyssey, an adventure, high adventure on Bill's porch early Wednesday morning. Hang with me, guys. It's going to be fun tonight. And it is dead calm, dead calm. Everything's fine. But no, I'm not going to do the Barlow tonight, and I'll tell you why when I do the exploration of the moon. I got something coming in that's going to make it all possible. And I'll tell you that tale in a little bit. So hang loose. I'm going to pause this, and we'll pick it up on the back side. Okay, guys, Bill back. Doing an all-nighter tonight. The moon is now above the tree line, and I'm going to conduct an experiment on live TV. I have Jupiter supposedly synced, aligned correctly with this telescope. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in under planet on my hand control, I'm going to say planet, and then I'm going to select moon, and I'll hit enter, and it should move. And you can hear the motor, and it's actually physically moving now, and hopefully it'll point right at the moon. I'll be down. That was successful, guys. Now, I want to see how well this is aligned, so I'm going to go back to Jupiter. I'm going to say planet, Jupiter, enter. I should be going right back up to Jupiter. Well, guess what? It didn't go on Jupiter. Now, let's try one more thing. I told you I was going to try to go to M43. Let's try to go to it. I'm going to go M043 and hit enter. And right now it's pointing at an area of the sky that's pretty bright. Let's go to the moon and see what we can do. Planet, moon. I'm a newbie, guys. I'm learning this stuff. In theory, I guess it should work. There's my train. Okay, it found the moon. I think you can see the problem. The problem is I thought I was perfectly aligned, but if I was perfectly aligned, it would be centered on the moon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my adjustments correct, and then I'll pick this up on the back side, and we'll do an exploratory of the moon. If it's too wavy, I'm going to wait a little bit. Okay, guys, we're back. I got it pretty well situated. It is a relatively calm night, so we're seeing a lot of detail on the moon. I've been thinking about why I wasn't able to go right to the object M43. I might have, but I might not have either. I did on this thing what is called a solar alignment. It's only on one object. It's the moon or Jupiter or Mars or Saturn or whatever. The best alignment you could do is at least a two-star alignment. And I think the next time that's what I'll try to do. In other words, pick two objects in the sky as far apart as you can and align on them, and then it really is lined up. And but I'm learning. I want to bring out some detail here. You can see this is a very, very unusual Mar C, and you can see these little there's a couple there that are just kind of popping in and popping out. I told you yesterday that I was studying my focus problem, and I finally realized after doing a lot of research that the telescope, as it's shipped, has what they call a rough focus on the back mirror. You turn that knob on the back and it moves the mirror back and forth. But for eyepieces, it's a wonderful focus. But when you start using CCD cameras and Barlows and things like that, that's where you really need to hone right in. I've ordered a zoom-all. Let's just start moving around. A zoom-all 10-to-1 fine focus for this telescope. It's the cheapest one I could find, and isn't that unusual? It's kind of sloped and sticking up in the air, kind of like looks to me like a spacecraft that was downed or something. Who knows what it is? And look at the light. You've got a bright light coming right from there. You got blinkers along the edge. See the blinker? And look at this. You got something laying there that's kind of abnormal. And the same right there. We're going to work our way up the shadow line. And you're going to see some very, very unusual detail that you never saw before. Look at this strange crater. I mean, it's like a mountain. It's up. It's a hornet's nest crater. What I call, guys, a hornet's nest crater. It's a crater that comes up. If this is the surface, and it goes up in the air, up in the air. And some of these can be really, really tall. Well, this one is pronounced, and it is fairly tall. And then in the base, look, we've got something that was probably constructed by fallen angels. When I finally do get that fine-tune adjustment, I'll be able to kind of hone in on some of these things that are just kind of blinking in and out. I'll be able to really fine-tune. I mean, it's not going to take care of the waves are still going to be there, but I'll be able to really focus it on the smallest item that I can. So the Barlows will all of a sudden be very useful. Now look at this. This is very, very strange. And I am looking for strange things. This kind of looks like it's sloping up. And see, this is well, to me it looks like it's bone, you know, and it's kind of like an extended platform where maybe that's underneath there you could walk, but it's probably just a crater, but that's what it looks like. And you've got this mountain range that is really, really strange. And look at that right there. I don't know what that is, but it looks like a rectangular building or something. I'm learning more about this this setup. When I was camped on Jupiter, I could hit the up arrow and I'd go down. I could hit the down arrow and go up. I could hit the right arrow and go left, and I could hit the left arrow and go right. On this one, when I hit the up arrow, I still go down, but because you're on the moon, you feel it moves different, and I just need to get used to the setup. But you can see it waving in and out, and all the detail that really is there. There's a lot of detail. And look at this. It's kind of like a circle with little things sticking out along the edge, like a little star or something. I don't know. It's probably just a crater. I've been watching on YouTube some incredible footage of Apollo missions where they actually took pictures of alien structures on on the moon, then you realize that there really are structures up there. So you look at things in a little bit different light when you study it. When I was in the Rangers in the military, I learned to uh, do map studies, and when I went in the National Guard, I was in S3 intelligence, and we did detailed studies, and so I'm kind of trained to look for peculiar things, and you see that coming out on some of my analysis. Although I might extend quite a bit of liberty in my interpretation of what I see. Now look at this. Isn't that strange? You just have the shadows peeking on all those little objects. It's kind of like they're all at the same level. That's the bottom of another rim. That's probably a rim. Just very, very unusual. We've been over this area many times, but we never seen it like this, guys. Never. Let me move it up a little bit. There you have something else right there in the middle of that crater. And let me just peek up to here, because it looks like there's something, some kind of strange mountain range or something there. I find the moon absolutely fascinating. I really do. Now look, you can see real clearly these craters, like that one right there, and it looks like it's up in the air, you know, like it's sticking up, and you can see very clearly the mound. See how it rolls up, rolls up, rolls up. It's kind of like whatever hit in there, it bulged the moon surface up and out. Very, very strange. And that one right there looks like it's a hornet's nest crater with straight walls. You probably remember this thing here. It looks like a circle, the crater, and then three kind of straight lines at the top. I've seen that many times, but I've never seen it this close. Can you really imagine what it's going to be like when I get that Barlow and go in there and look at it? I mean, really focused. It's going to be incredible. And Mike got his 5 times power mate Barlow in, and I got one coming in a 2.5 teleview power mate. We're going to hopefully have a clearer image. But I'm not going to try any of that stuff until I get that fine tuner. And I wish I knew about that when I bought the telescope. I would have just planned it. What you do with that is you basically mount it directly behind the telescope against the tube that comes out. Look at this. You've got several pairs of craters. See that? 2 right there, 2 right here, and 2 right there. Kind of strange, guys. Kind of strange. And look at this, kind of like I wonder if this is a spinal tap. I don't know. Very, very interesting. So I'm excited that I've got this focuser coming in. I can order a motor for it, and I probably will, but I need to make sure it really will work. Now look here, you can see very clearly this is a crater, and it looks like there's something sticking up, I mean literally sticking up out of the center of that crater. Yeah, you can see it move when I move. If I stomp my feet, you'd see it move too. I've learned to discipline myself not to move. This is a porch, and as long as I'm still, doesn't doesn't affect anything. But if I have a coughing fit like I did on the Coughing Mountains, man, we're in a bad way because it's gonna really bounce around. See those things sticking up in the air? And I'm not going to try to focus. I know it's in focus. It's still. I know it's probably too early because it's wavy. As time goes on, it clears up. And I am going to be here for quite a while tonight, so I'll probably, when I stop this particular exploration, I might show it to you again later uh, when it maybe settles down a little bit. Let me go to the camera control and let's adjust the exposure. See, when I go down a little bit, you can see some of the detail coming out. I kind of like the idea of holding the controller for the telescope in my hand. I seem to have more readily uh, flexible control over the movement. Okay, let's try to adjust the brightness down. Let's work with the gamma on this. See the gamma, I got the gamma all the way down. And I've got the saturation. If I go to the, watch is when I go to, see how it brings out, but it also gets too high. I do not have a moon filter on. So we're seeing, I think, more true colors the way it is. I am going to try to look at Mars, and I will try to go to M43, but I'm not going to do it in real time because there, you can see more detail, because it's not really aligned properly. I need to do a 2-star alignment for that kind of thing to work. And you can tell it's very, very bright. See that bug right there? I'm looking at a bug on my computer screen. That's one of the things about when you do it at night and you're using your computers outside. I turned the porch light off and they're drawn to the computer screen. It's my intent, if you're joining me for the first time, it's my intent to do a survey of the moon every night. I believe that what's causing it to, see how it went out of focus, came back in. something changed that's the atmospherics that's causing that. I'm looking at the moon and I don't see any clouds or anything. I don't believe it went out of focus. We'll work our way down and decide what to do. One thing about the focus, I found that when you do focus it, you can pretty much sit on it for the whole session and it stays in focus. You see, that's pretty much in focus there. Just some kind of weird atmospherics on the moon caused that haze. I was talking to a guy about theories about what this moon surface is made up of, and he seemed to think that there was diamonds like on their core, and if that's true, that would explain these points of light that seem brilliant, because you have a lot of the area that is kind of shines out. I personally think that these so-called seas are actually crystal. Let me go over here to the right and see what this is. Looks like we have an X. X marks the spot, guys. One of the Genesis 6 fallen angels. And look at that kind of strange structure. If you look, it's kind of round and it's kind of up in the air. It looks like it's sticking up. Pretty strange. I believe especially since I've learned that the moon does rotate um, over the course of a night, and the sun is always hitting this moon in a different perspective. Every time you look at this moon, even on these parts, you're going to see things you never saw. And I truly think when I start doing my Barlow surveys, we're going to be astounded by what we find. Okay, let me go back to the camera control and turn the exposure up. See, that brings out the details of this mountain range, but when you do that, then you lose the details of the back. But I do want to kind of see what's in this sea. We've looked at this before in a different light, and we've seen brilliant light come like right there, kind of what seems to be below the surface. And that's why I kind of think that maybe this is comprised of some kind of a crystal or something like that. And look at, isn't this strange? See these kind of waves? Just strange, guys. And there's that thing sticking up in the air. I wonder what that is. Let's go over to the edge and turn the exposure down so we can see more detail. And we see right there, we see another thing sticking up in the air. We saw this stuff yesterday. Something right there, I can't explain. It's kind of like a triangle. it's going to be real interesting whenever when we have the shadow line pass through this mountain range. We'll see more detail. It's starting to go through right now. Let's just sit on this for a minute and see if we see anything blinking down here. Henning calls them blinkers. The theory is that they're, you can sometimes see lights, and they're not just reflections, but they're lights in the shadow line right around this area. And the other thing to do that I intend on doing when we have we'll lose the moon, it'll be a dark moon, but you can still, with this telescope, you can go to it, and it'd be interesting to go up there onto a completely dark moon and look at it and see if you see any lights. Okay, now let me go kind of north, do a north-south pass, and then at the end that'll finish it up. See, this thing is kind of strange. It's got a little. I'm convinced, guys, there are fallen angel bases on this moon. And I'm convinced also that every shadow that you've ever seen on any of my videos on the moon's surface are in fact flying saucers or spacecraft flying around the moon. No doubt about it at all. See this massive, massive sea. Just incredible. And look how bright that is right there. Let me turn the exposure down, and that should, see, still sticks out. It's very, very bright. Kind of like these are bright, these are bright. Let me give you an update on the sun filter. Mike ordered them and got them, and I have them here. It's a hydrogen alpha filter. It's a special filter. You put it over the end of the telescope, and then it's a kind of a weird looking thing, and you put it in line with the camera, and then a special filter. And then when you look at the sun, you can see the CMEs and activity, the ejections coming off the sun. I tried to set that up a couple of days ago, and it basically was hard for me to even get the sun in line because it was so bright. I mean, you can't look at the sun, you hurt your eyes. So there's that thing that looks. Let's just look at this for a second. This looks to me. I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks to me like a road. I know it's not a road, but it's what it looks like. See how it goes along. This is a mountain range. And see, then you go around, and then see you go around there, around there, around there. It looks like a road. I know it's not one, but that's what it looks like. Don't know what it is. Anyhow, Mike ordered some special glasses that allow you to, and that is sticking up out of the ground. Special glasses that allow you to, set up me turn the exposure up. Okay. I turned the saturation up just a little bit so you can see the color. There is a blue, a definite blue hue over there, and then this. Matter of fact, let's just go up and re-look at that in the color and see if there's. Yeah, see, it's more pronounced. It's beautiful. See the color variation. That's true color on the moon. Amazing, amazing. Anyhow, we got that coming in, and once I see how everything is in focus, it's just that a little bit ago it was way really out of focus. It was an atmospheric causing it. Anyhow, we got that coming in, and when we finally get it in, then I'll be able to start my daily look at the moon. Let's pause at this crater. This is fascinating. This is just incredible. This image right here is fantastic, and you're never going to see this crater quite like you're looking at it right there, with the detail of the rim. And what in the hell is in the middle, I have no idea, but there is something in the middle. The other thing I was waiting on, when I set my computer up on the porch here during the sun in the morning, and it was so bright, I mean, I couldn't even see the computer screen. So basically, I'm getting an extension USB cable so that I can take this computer set up into the house and run the whole show from inside. I wanted to do that anyhow for the winter, but I'm going to have to do it for the sun because of the nature of the light. You can't see the computer screen. I know I could get some kind of a cardboard box or something like that, but it's going to be so much easier just to do it. See how bright it is? Now let me go back to the exposure and turn the exposure down. Okay. Well, guys, we're still here. We haven't got hit from the skies with a 6.5-ton satellite yet, and it looks like Denver, Colorado is still on. A lot of things going on, guys. A lot of things. Look at this. See how it looks to be rectangular? Don't know what it is. Just kind of strange. Because take a look at this, the rim. It's a clear rim. But see what's striking about this, it looks like it's a bridge, and you could walk underneath there. Let me turn the exposure up. See how it looks like you could walk right underneath there? Very, very unusual. And isn't that beautiful? You got all this color, all this color. Oops, just a beautiful picture. And that's a really unusual crater too. Just turn the exposure up. Look at this. You can see the rim of the crater is clearly above the surface, and it's kind of like puckered out. Like these are clearly puckered out too, but this is a very defined high crater with something in the middle. I personally think that every time we see one like that, there's something in the middle, and that was put there by fallen angels. Have no idea what it is, but maybe it's some special antenna where they can monitor the Earth. I don't know. And look at the coloration right here. Isn't that beautiful? You got this different hue in the middle, and I mean blues. I mean, it's a riot of color, guys. Very, very, very beautiful. And let's pause and look at this for just a second, because I've seen this crater so many times, and I think this is the one that we've been looking at that looked like they were hornet nest craters, and they were kind of in a row there, and then also they were sticking up in the air, and this one looked like it had a plexiglass bubble, and I'll say it looks completely different when you look at it in a different light. So a lot of times when you're looking at this stuff, it's kind of like optical illusions. That's why you got to look at everything all the time, just different ways, because every time you look at something, you see it in a different light. See, as soon as I turned the exposure down, you could see the details of that crater. I think I saw a shadow right over there just a second ago. Flying saucer on the moon, flying around. Again, look at these colors. Isn't that something else? Now, even this crater looks different from when we looked at it a little bit ago. See the light, everything changes. Every time you look at something, it looks different. And look at this thing. I wonder what that is. I mean, it looks just real weird. And I think that these are pipes. Let me center this. See, if you look at this close enough, I'm not going to put a Barlow on because it's just hard to focus it. See how that looks like a pipe, and it's going down, then another one going down, then you got a pipe going this way, and you got one going down. And I think I've looked at this before with that Barlow, and I think that there's shadows under those pipes, and that this is all alien made. This is an alien. This is a fallen angel base, and they probably got headquarters down there or something. I truly believe it. I don't know about you, but every time I look at the moon, it's just very, very, very relaxing. And the adventurous spirit in me takes over, and I kind of go crazy because it's like opening up a book and looking at pictures from foreign lands that you never saw before. And every time you look at it, it really is a different presentation. Oops. And see, that clearly is something in the middle of that crater sticking up. I mean, something complex. I'm still recording with WMV format, and pretty stable at 6 to 7 frames a second, which means the image should be smooth. And I think that's going to be a good time for me to quit. I am going to try to look at Mars and M43. If I can get them, I'm going to tack it on the end. And if I can't get them, I'm going to probably show you the moon in about an hour. Not a complete full exploration, but just to show you the difference. I told you yesterday in the video that basically I believe that as the moon gets higher in the sky, these waves are not as predominant. So we should see those are waves. You see the kind of jerkiness, and it should be clear. So we'll probably in an hour I'm going to show you the moon anyhow. But if I can see Mars, if I can see M43, we're going to give it a shot. I will do 2-star alignments from now on when I want to do this, and I'm sure that I'll be able to zip around and look at things if it's worth looking at live. But like I said before, I'm a newbie. I'm learning. I'm going to put it on pause, and we'll catch this in on the back end, on the back end. Okay, guys, old Bill's up all night, about 3:30, and I'm waiting on Mars to peek up over the tree line, and I put that Barlow on there just for grins because I wanted to look at that big crater, and I thought I'd just roll into it and let you see it. I know it's out of focus a little bit, but it's still pretty spectacular when you look at it with this 3 times Barlow. This is that big one we were looking at. If you remember, we had a rim that went up, and you can see clearly the the dirt. It's not dirt, glass, whatever, the volcanic rock going up, and then in particular, see that thing right there in the middle. I don't know what that is, but now if I had that fine-tuned focus, I'd be able to really hone in on that and get it probably just spot on. But because I don't, I can't. But this will give you a flavor of how uh, big I can make things. And big is not necessarily good if there's a lot of noise, but here you can see pretty much a lot of detail that you couldn't see otherwise. Okay, well, I'm going to put this on pause again, and we're going to go to Mars here in a minute. I did go down there to the nebula, and I saw it. I saw it with the eyepiece. But this particular camera that I have is not going to let us look at that nebula. I have another camera that will allow us to do that, and I'll be able to show you that nebula later on, but it looked really spectacular in my eyepiece. But the camera is just not wide range enough in the pixel sensitivity to pick up the gases. I picked up the 3 stars, or the 4 stars and everything in the cluster, but I wanted to show you the gases, and I can't only do that with that other special camera. Isn't that pretty neat, though? That's a blow-up picture of that big old crater I showed you earlier. See, fallen angel sneaking around inside there, huh? Okay, we're going on pause. We're going to go to Mars here in just a second. Hey guys, I wanted to say one more thing about this crater. Uh, when I'm setting up my telescope and I'm kind of waiting on the moon to get up there and stabilize and everything, what I do is normally I'll camp out on a crater like a big one like this, and I'll just look at it and see if there's any activity or anything going on. And generally speaking, you can get pretty good stability on this motor mount where it doesn't drift around too much. But I wanted to bring to your attention, you see a little blinker in there. I know it's just light, but it does look kind of strange. And you got one right there too on top of that little thing, which looks like it's moving. See, watch it. It's probably an optical illusion, but it's strange. My opinion is that this is sticking straight up in the air, and it's probably level with the rim, the outer rim. Also, if you look, you got blinkers right there, and there's one right there, and another one right somewhere in here. So when I kind of camp out, I'll look at just a spot like this on the moon and just stare at it, study it, look at it, see if there's anything going on. Because you're getting real close, with a telescope like this. One more final thing before I put it on pause and go to Mars. Look how thin that shell is. It kind of looks like this could be made out of paper mache. It looks like a real, well, it just looks real thin. It's kind of, to me, looks strange. Like maybe it was kind of constructed, maybe? I don't know. Anyhow, I'll continue to stare at this thing for a while and see if anything happens. I'll put you on pause, and in a minute we're going to try to see Mars. I'm going to leave that Barlow on. We're going to go with the 3 times Barlow, looking at Mars in a minute. Still not quite up over the tree line. It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. Bill's doing an all-nighter. An all-nighter, guys. Okay, guys, this is Mars through a Barlow 3 times out of focus. And you can see why I need that fine-tuned focus to get it better. It'll give you an idea how big I can get it on the screen. You can see, I'm going to take that Barlow off and look at it without the Barlow, but you can see the polar cap right there. See the white? That is the polar cap, but it's just out of focus and I can't get it any closer. Let me show you. I'll see, it's just gets a little bit, and then Just just can't quite get it. That's why I need that fine tune. But I think it's amazing you can see the white, what I what must be the polar cap. Okay, I'm going to pause this again, and we'll put the take the Barlow off and look at it just with the camera. Pretty hard to find with the camera. Give me a second. Okay, guys, this is Mars without a Barlow. Pretty hard to see, but it's I think it's going to be possible to bring out some of the detail with a Barlow, and I get a fine tune on it. You could tell the, when I oversaturate with the colors, you can see that there was white and there was kind of orangish and blue, or here this is kind of like reddish. That's the way it should be. But I can't, the fine tuning is so critical on this kind of stuff, including the moon. When I get on there with that new fine tuner, I think I'll be able to accomplish quite a bit. But I think tonight was very, very successful. We've seen a spectacular moon, and we've seen an incredible crater up there. We had some fantastic shots of Jupiter. I personally saw M43. You guys didn't. The Orion Nebula, but I'll work on that. And I think that maybe the camera that I got for deep space and things like that will look better on Mars and the nebula. So we got a lot of tricks to play, and we'll experiment. But I think this is not too shabby for my first attempt at Mars. Okay, you guys have a good one. It's been an all-nighter. It's about 4:05, and I think I'm going to wrap this up, get it up on YouTube, and hit the hay. In the meantime, clear skies, guys.